So she's going to talk about the history of Palmyra from your perspective. Okay, and one of the things we were just talking about with the previous person that I don't want to forget, so I'm going to start with, is your participation with the Eastern Star in Palmyra, which was a very vital service organization to Palmyra and to Masons. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your experiences with the Eastern Star in Palmyra?
Well, I joined through my brother, Sam Baumgartner. You have to have somebody in the Masons to back you up, and I entered when Nancy was a senior in high school. It would have been 63 or 64. I have served every station that could be used before you have to run for an office. Okay. I've been word matron twice, and I was Grand Ruth in the State Department, and I've had, up until recently, I've had an appointment almost every year.
And the appointment, I know it's somewhat of a secret organization, so the appointments have to do with your meetings that you have. But what were some of the things that the organization itself did for the community?
For the community? Oh. Well, we back the Lions for their vision. We have an offering just for vision. We work with the veterans by going down to the Veterans Hospital to play bingo with them. Oh dear.
Well, there are several things that the organization does for the community. Now, there seemed to be a theme, and it's not a positive theme, but we seem to have a theme today of organizations that were in Palmyra, were started in Palmyra, have become very successful, but now are not as successful as they used to be. And I think that's the same thing with the Eastern Star.
We're still in business, but we only have the officers. There's 18 officers, and that's about that, and whoever's on the committee for food.
Okay.
We only have about 25 people coming out to the meetings anymore.
So your organization would be interested in younger people taking an interest in them as well. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Let's go on to something else, because you were born in Palmyra, or you came when you were a year old.
I was a year old when we came to Palmyra.
Okay.
And my father had bought the milk business from Mr. Hassler, and that was in 1920. I was born in 1919.
Okay, so you're in your 90s. In Lemoyne, okay. You're in your 90s now. Okay,
yes.
So you've seen a lot of changes in Palmyra in those 90 years. What do you think is the most significant change that took place?
Oh, how we grew. And of course, with the Hershey right next door, the people in Palmyra always had some place to work. We also had a lot of people who lived here in Palmyra that worked at the Capitol in Harrisburg. I can remember one gentleman, every morning he was dressed in a suit, and he always had a corsage on.
Oh, really? He went to Harrisburg?
And he would go in the bus or the trolley to Harrisburg. And the trolleys ran from Palmyra to Hummelstown, and then you had to change and get on another trolley to go to Harrisburg.
Okay. And how long did the trolleys run?
Oh.
Do you remember?
I'd say about the 40s.
Right, I think it was 48. You and I were looking at that. I think it was 1948 that the last trolley was in Palmyra.
Yes.
But that was a significant, um, significant issue for people that were living in Palmyra to be able to, like you said, to
Yeah,
work in Hershey.
Hershey.
Or yesterday I was with a group of seniors and they were talking about their remembrances of Hershey Park and how
Oh,
they used to ride the trolley to Hershey Park.
Yes.
So for entertainment, people went to Hershey. For work, they went to Hershey. And so it
And
made it a partnership.
we went up there to swim, both in the outdoors and indoors. And then to wait for the trolley, we would go to the library, which was right across the street from where we swam.
Could you use their library too?
Yes.
Do you remember when the Palmyra, we're in the library right now. Do you remember when the Palmyra library started?
No, I can't remember the dates.
I don't know, maybe we'll have to find that out and do that.
Um,
Okay. So now Palmyra has their own library.
Yeah.
Okay. We're also in the municipal building. What use the Eastern Star I know meets in the municipal building. What
Yeah.
changes have taken place with the municipal building? It was started as a what? As the Legion.
As a Legion, it was, the Legion was here. And then, let's see, went into Star in, 40, my dates are bad.
In the 60s.
Yeah, in the 60s. It was, the Legion sold it to the town. And I can't remember the date, but I know we were meeting here, and then it was my year as worthy matron, the place was closed. We had to meet in Anvil because there were renovations done here to the building.
Okay. Well, I remember as a little girl coming to the Legion. There was a bowling alley here,
Yes.
and there was a restaurant.
Oh, yes.
And so we had bowling in Palmyra before there was a bowling alley down at
Yes.
the east end of town. Right. Okay.
Yes.
So it changes there. Okay. Let's see. What advantages do you think that you had growing up in Palmyra? I mean, you could have lived in Lemoyne the rest of your life, but you were in Palmyra. What advantages do you think that gave you to your life?
Well, we had a good school. We had plenty of churches that our family went to it's now the United Methodist Church. It was the EUB. And we had a theater. The Salsa Theater was wonderful. We could go on Friday night and Saturday afternoon. Mother, we lived right on the main street, and Mother put a sign out, open for tourists, and she rented the second floor, and that's how she saved the money to educate her 4 children. We had the milk business, and it was just a nice, friendly town. And you could walk. It wasn't as big as it is now. I remember taking a quart of ice or of milk up North Railroad Street to a store that needed milk. Mother and Daddy were away, and the lady that was babysitting wouldn't deliver it. So I walked up Railroad Street to the base of Garble Hill to deliver the milk.
Oh my goodness, you traveled all over. You mentioned the schools. I know that your profession actually was with the school district. You want to talk about what you did?
Well, I was the first school nurse. I came home from training in Philadelphia. I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in nurses training. And in 1941, the school board decided they were going to have a school nurse. I was the first school nurse in Palmyra. I set up the program. We met in the Cherry Street building. Then we only had Cherry Street and Railroad Street and Cherry Street. Mr. Hart's was the principal, and they created a office for me. Finally, the halls were so wide in that first school, and they created an office for me on the second floor in the hallway. The nurses from Myerstown and Lebanon, Elko and Cornwall Manor. They were both graduates from the University of Pennsylvania, and they helped me and advised me as to what a school nurse would do. We mainly weighed and measured every child. We examined the ears. Every child had their eyes examined. We made home calls.
Hello? Hey, I can't talk to you right now. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Sorry. Okay, you were telling us that what you did as a school nurse, okay, check their ears and eyes and everything.
And we made home calls. We went through that rheumatic fever period where a special nurse came in, and if a child had been out of school running a temperature, she would make the home calls because they were so afraid of rheumatic fever and heart disease.
When was that?
That was in the 50s.
Okay, that's interesting, because that's about when I had my strep throat, and they were worried about rheumatic fever then.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the common at that time. Oh, okay. All right, very good. What do you think was the most significant thing that happened while you were a school nurse? You were there for, what, 42 years?
Yeah, 37.
37, okay. What was the most significant thing that happened while you was the school nurse?
Well, the high school was built, and we moved.
Now, when you say the high school, the new high school on
the
Park
new
Drive?
high school
Okay.
was built, first Forge Road School was built, and then we hired the second school nurse, which was Betty Houston. Then when the north side was built, we hired the third nurse. So all our schools, even though some of us had to travel back and forth between the schools, they were covered.
Okay, very good. All right, what do you think is one of, or you can tell me several, contributions that you made to Palmyra? You were a resident of Palmyra, and you took from the services, and you raised your family here, and you were.
Well,
what did you contribute back to Palmyra? What do you think?
Well, my work as a nurse, visiting in the homes, learning to know the people. I don't know what you could say you contributed.
But for 37 years, you were part of that district and saw and helped with the growth and helped with the health of the community, really.
That's right.
Through the schools, the children in the schools. Okay. I think what else would you want people that are seeing this are going to be seeing the history of Palmyra as seen through the eyes of the people that are talking, like yourself. So what would you say about the history of Palmyra? What, from your viewpoint, what do you think was the most significant thing that happened in that time period? Not just in the schools, but in the growth you said, and
the churches, and the many different organizations. You had the Lions Club, you had the Women's Club, the Junior Women's Club, Eastern Star, we had the old home week. What was it in
The bicentennial
the bicentennial?
in
Was
1960.
very, very nice. I like that because it was all down at the east end of town.
Yeah. And the big pageant.
Yeah.
Remember we had the
Oh,
pageant.
yes, the pageant. Oh, that's another thing. The Lions Club put on plays.
Oh,
And-
that's right. Talk about the plays. Yeah, that was in the 60s.
Yes,
the
in
Lions
the
Club.
60s. And local people would take the parts. I can't remember. But my brother and I and Joe, my sister Joe, were always in the plays.
The
Yes.
community plays. Yeah, the community was really tightly knit, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us? Okay.
No, I guess
Very
that's
good.
about all.
That's okay, because we have to wrap it, Steve. They're
Yeah.
gonna kick us out, I think. But yes, we're coming. I just said we have to get out of here.
Yes.